Hello and welcome to episode number 49 of the Hafey Digital Podcast, a show for creators, makers, and doers, where my goal is to help you make to the max. My name is Ryan Hafey, and in this episode, we're going to be recapping the week. That's all you need to know for now. Let's get into it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. If you're new here, my name is Ryan, and I do this podcast weekly, every Sunday, usually around the noon to 12:30 time frame lately, and talk about all things content creation, really. Photography, video, lately a lot of FPV and drone stuff, audio stuff. If you're into any of that, you may enjoy what you're about to see and or hear. So hit that subscribe button wherever you happen to be watching or listening at this particular moment in time, and also follow me on social media at Ryan Hafey on Instagram and Twitter when this is done, so we can have a conversation there as well. Oh man, it is officially beanie season here in Las Vegas. That's right. It was it yesterday? I think it was on Friday. No, what's today? Today's Sunday, Saturday, yesterday. So I think it was on Friday. We had a high of like in the low to mid 80s, and then a big windstorm, or not even really a storm, just a cold front came through, brought a little bit of rain, a lot of wind, and cut to yesterday, and it was, like 50, 51 for a high, and we're looking at about 55, I think, for a high today, and also breezy. We also have these really dark kind of, not really ominous. I guess they're kind of ominous looking, but they're not producing a lot of rain or any storms or anything. But there's just kind of these big, low-hanging clouds in the sky, and we've had nothing but sunshine and no rain for, I think it's literally been about 200 days, if I heard correctly. So the clouds in the sky, along with the cold weather, along with a little bit of wind, bringing in that fall vibe. I 100% welcome it. I need a change of pace. Sunshine is great, but when all you have for 200 days in a row is sunshine, man, that gets old real fast. So I'm glad that it's going to be cooler now. I'm glad that, and it's looking like, if you look at the forecast, for the foreseeable future, it doesn't look like it's going to be creeping back up into the warmer temps, anything above, like the mid 60s for a while. Who knows what can happen? Global warming, all that nonsense. But for now, it's what we got, and I'm totally happy with it. But man, what a week, huh? Been a crazy one. It's been a stressful week with everything, with the election, and I'm not going to get into that because everything that needs to be said about that has already been said. But yeah, man, everyone's just been kind of glued to their TVs, and it's just a weird time to be alive right now. And that's really all I'm going to say about that, because I've got a few things to talk about today. By the way, if anyone cares, it's a Coke Zero kind of day. My selection of beverages is limited at the moment, so that's what we're drinking. But today, all right, so got a few things that I want to talk about. First of all, got a number of FPV updates, as all of you know, if you've been watching. I've been getting into the FPV community, or into that world lately, and I've had some trials and tribulations leading up to now. So we're going to talk about that and what's been new since last week's episode. Also, I'm starting to get back in the process of making content again for my main channel, which I haven't done for, a number of months now. So I'm kind of working my way back to that, because I feel like like if you go to college and then you take like a couple years off and then you try to go back to college again, and they're like, oh no, you got to redo these classes because they're no longer applicable to all the credits you need and whatever. It's kind of what I feel like with my main channel. Like I feel like I've just gone so long without putting anything there or making like dedicated videos outside of like this stuff. I feel like I've kind of lost my touch and sort of need to reintroduce myself to that world. So we'll talk about what I'm doing there. Also, having some audio issues with, not with like my audio, anything to do with recording or anything like that. It's more what's coming from my studio monitors, and also we will get into that. But with that part of it, I'm hoping for a little feedback, pun not intended, as to how I can resolve some issues that I'm experiencing. But anyway, let's start with the FPV stuff. So first of all right, so I've got that little mini FPV drone, the one that I've shown in the last couple episodes, the one that fits in the palm of my hand. That one finally gave out on me, and I had to order a new one. Luckily, those little drones, the kit that I got with the goggles and the radio included was $129. But if you want to just purchase a new mini drone, it's like, I don't know, it's like about $50 or so. And you get it, you can just plug the batteries right in, and you're up and running basically right away. So that wasn't a huge deal, and I kind of expected it was coming soon, because even though those little drones, they don't fly super fast. I mean, they're kind of meant for indoor flying, and they've got little bumpers around the propellers, which is great, but I crashed that thing so many times. At a certain point, the motors stopped spinning consistently. There were some supports that were leading to the motors from the little guards on the outside that were they were cut, or they just broke. So basically, it was creating a lot of vibration when the motors were turning, so the flying was a little less graceful. I was also having issues where when the drone would hit the ground, or not even crash, sometimes would just kind of tap on the ground or tap on a surface, the signal to the goggles would go away, and I'd have to get it and kind of rebind it and do all this stuff. So it was time, and now that I'm a little bit more experienced with it, I'm hoping that this new one will last a little bit longer, because considering I don't crash as much or as intense anymore. Yeah, so that's here now. I have it back. I'm back up and running with that, but I am still not backing up and running with the actual Cinewhoop that I purchased. So to quickly recap, last week, I think it already happened. I forget the days are bleeding together, but basically I bought the Cinewhoop, had a lot of issues with it. Not that it was totally human error. It was my fault, but I didn't do enough research. Didn't really learn about beta flight until I had already tried to use the drone. I was having issues with the goggles communicating with the drone. Sometimes the drone wouldn't arm. A lot of different things that, had I maybe moved up in steps incrementally, I would have had a little bit better understanding of. But basically what happened was I burned up a motor. I don't know exactly how it happened, but there's a little white plastic piece that I guess, from what I read, is becoming more of a common thing with motors nowadays, FPV motors. But on the bottom of it, there's this little white plastic piece that I guess is supposed to protect the motor from any screws that are coming up from underneath it, because I guess that's also a common problem where the screws that you use to secure the motor onto the frame of your Cinewhoop or FPV drone, whatever it is, will sometimes be too long and therefore will push into the motor, and that can cause issues. What I'm thinking happened is one of those screws was maybe a little too long, or somehow that plastic piece got sort of pushed up into the motor, and it started smoking. It melted that plastic piece, and now that motor is kind of out of commission, which means that I have to replace that motor with a new motor. I ordered a motor, actually ordered two just to kind of have a backup, but I ordered the motor, but I don't have a soldering iron yet. And in order to replace the motor, you have to unsolder the broken motor, which is soldered to like the flight control, and then you have to resolder the new motor. And I don't have any soldering experience, so I hope I don't mess anything up, because that would be quite bad, and I don't want to have to deal with that. But so that's what I have to do there. So right now, my Cinewhoop is in pieces on a table out there. And I guess my biggest concern is not just the soldering. The soldering is one thing, but also being able to put everything back together. I'm sure there's probably a video out there that can walk me through it, but there's so many little pieces and parts, and I tried to take some photos to remember, okay, this goes here, this goes there, but I need to get myself in that mind space of, okay, when I go to put this thing back together again, it's I'm probably going to have to do it a few times because I'm going to have to backtrack. 'Cause I'm like, oh, I forgot to put these in, got to unscrew this and that. I just have to allow myself to be patient with that. So that's that. And then, so a battery update, another issue that I ran into with this whole FPV stuff, again, could have been alleviated by some research, is these batteries. This is what the battery looks like for the drone, at least a particular one that I got. And these things you have to charge them very carefully, and it requires hold on. It requires a particular charger, like an actual smart charger that this thing will allow you to charge many different kinds, well, not many, but like an assortment of types of batteries. LiPo batteries, which is what these are, being one of them. Well, what I didn't realize initially, because see, what I did was, and I'm not blaming them for this, again, my own fault, but when I was buying the drone, I bought it from getfpv.com, and they have a thing where you can do a live chat, and I said, hey, can I send you my parts that I'm buying so that, you can verify that I have everything that I need in order to be up and running? And they did that, and they were like, yep, you're good to go. I sent them the parts and everything. And then what I didn't realize is that this thing, in order to charge these batteries, they have to be charged balanced. But in order to charge them balanced, you have to have, I guess, something that goes in between the charger and the battery, which is like, in this case, this little balance charging board I did not have before. So I was plugging this battery directly into this unit, and therefore the batteries were being charged unbalanced, meaning that there are 4 cells in this battery, and charging balanced means that all 4 of those cells are going to kind of be charged at the same amount. Unbalanced, if I'm understanding it correctly, means that one cell might be charged first, then the next, so they're not going to be charged at the same rate. And I was trying to charge this, and no, hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. So another issue you can run into, and I mentioned this before with these batteries, is that you can over drain them, meaning you can use them until they have nothing left in them, and then it becomes hard to charge them again because I guess like the cells run out of voltage. And there's a hack around that, but it wasn't exactly working for me. So then I got this balance board, and this thing will allow you to charge multiple batteries at once. So I'm like, cool, get it, plug it into here, plug some batteries into this, start it up. Everything seems to be working fine, except for I start to hear like this little sort of that kind of sound. And that was the packaging, or the little whatever this wrapping is, expanding. That's because the battery was expanding. It was heating up super hot, and these batteries are not supposed to heat up when they're charging. And then I started to hear a slight hiss, and I kind of looked at the batteries. I felt all of them. The others felt fine. This was the only one that was super hot. So obviously, naturally, I unplugged it, and then started charging them individually to see if they would work. They all worked charging individually, and apparently the issue is that you don't want to be charging some batteries that are almost full with some batteries that are completely drained, I guess. Again, things that I need to really kind of read up on. Long story short, this thing, I was afraid of this thing exploding so much so that I just put it in the backyard for a little bit and let it cool down. But I then went back and charged the batteries individually. They all charged up just fine, and then the first 3. And then I went to go plug this battery in, and it wouldn't charge at all. It was saying that 1 or 2 of the cells is now done. So unfortunately, I've screwed up this battery, which kind of sucks because these are like $30 a piece, $20 to $30 a piece. But it is what it is. It was a learning experience. I'm going to have many more of them, I'm sure, before I'm back up and, before I'm proficient with things. But yeah, so that's kind of the battery update. So ultimately where we are right now is I'm just waiting for a soldering iron to come in so that I can learn to reinstall, or how to install the new motor, and then I got to put everything back together. And then in theory, we should be able to get out and go flying again. So looking forward to that. Vlogging. So, excuse me. As I mentioned, I'm looking to try to get some more content back up on the main channel. I've been struggling for a long time with where I wanted to go with the channel and what kind of content I wanted to create, because I was getting kind of sick of making just tutorials. And it's kind of hard for me to make tutorials at the moment. You know, with the kids and everybody, like I'm working from home, my kids are being, distance learning right now. There's always a lot going on in the house, which makes it difficult to find some dedicated time to be able to sit down in here and to record some planned out tutorial content. And also tutorial content's great, but it's not my favorite thing to do. I'm not like, it's not something I want to get pigeonholed into. It's not something that I want to necessarily do long term. I definitely want to do some of them. Like if there's something that comes along that I feel like is super interesting, that I feel like other people should know, I may make a dedicated tutorial for that. But what I'm thinking for the channel now is, I want to get back, first of all, just into the habit of making videos, but I think I want to do kind of a vlog style content, but vlog style at least with some value in it. I want to do more documenting. I want to make it a goal to vlog a little bit every day, or at least Monday through Friday, then use Saturday, Sunday to edit, and then get the video out by, say, Monday or Tuesday. And if I can find a good flow for it, that means I could vlog for a few minutes each day, edit that part of edit that day's footage into the vlog on a daily basis in little increments. And then by the end of the week, I've got a full-length vlog. I'm also considering using some custom music from sounds from the vlog, but I haven't quite got there yet. I got to work on my workflow a little bit and see if I'm going to have time to actually do that and, be able to quickly make little tracks that I can put in. But yeah, so what I'm thinking now is really, I'm not trying to start out with any bells and whistles. I'm trying to be a little bit more authentic in that, I'm not hosting my vlogs like this and super cool B-roll transitions and B-roll, sequences and crazy transitions and all that kind of stuff. If those happen naturally, great. But I don't want to focus on those. I want to focus on, hey, here's some of the things that I'm working on, and here's some of the knowledge that I've accumulated as a result of working on these things. Maybe this will help someone out there. And I realize that these videos aren't going to be super specific. I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but in other words, they're not going to be dedicated to a specific subject. It's not going to be like, here's how to wash your dog. It's going to be a hodgepodge of things. Like, for example, this vlog I'm doing now is actually very heavily related to a lot of things that I'm talking about here. So you could also make the argument that I'm cannibalizing on that, but granted, my main channel is a lot bigger than this podcast is, and presenting the information in different ways, it is what it is. But, so yeah, just want to be able to document and then put something out and then revisit that, see how I felt about it, learn from it, get some feedback if people like to watch it, and just go from there. But ultimately, I don't want it to just be just a vlog. Like, hey, so today I'm going to the pumpkin patch. Like, it's, people have subscribed to me because mostly of my tutorial content. So if I'm going to be putting out new content, even if it's in a different format or a vlog style format, I still want people to be able to get value from it in the realm of photography, video, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm working on, and it's just been tough lately to get myself into the habit of doing that. As I've mentioned, I tend to focus more on responsibilities that I have towards other people, whether it be my day job, which obviously that requires attention, but also just side gigs, freelance gigs, or just even side projects that I may be doing with other people. I think it's just the fact that there's some reliance on me by the other person to do it, whereas I struggle with relying on myself to focus on my own stuff. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where we're at with that. But so the goal is then I've already started editing it a little bit. The goal is to then have a vlog up on either Mondays or Tuesdays starting this week. So we'll see how that goes. And then finally, let's talk about some audio issues that I've been having. Let me pull up Premiere here. So this is actually footage that's going to be going into the vlog. So just to explain before I pull up the screen here. Interesting. I just realized at some point my camera got shifted. That's okay. So I have these studio monitors here, and you probably can't see them from that angle, but it's okay. You'll see them on the screen here in a second. I bought these maybe a month or two ago because I had these Bose sort of mini speakers that were giving me a lot of feedback. Just when there was no music or anything playing through them, if I had them turned up loud enough, I would just hear this bzzz, there's sort of this electric hum. And really the only way to combat that was to turn the knob on the speakers down a little bit, and then, you rely on like my audio interface to adjust the volume from there. So I figured it was a speaker issue, so I ordered these new iLoud speakers, which are great. They sound awesome. They're a little bit more bassy. They just have a little bit more depth to them, in my opinion. And I figured, okay, maybe it's the speakers. That'll solve the issue. So I get them, plug them in. Unfortunately, had the same issue. So, and then I started doing a little research, and I learned about TRS cables. TRS meaning, is it tip, ring, sleeve? So like, hold on. I'm going to try to illustrate this, because I don't have the cables with me, but I have this thing. So you've probably seen this, just a little 1/4-inch adapter. But when you have TRS cables and they have these types of, plugs, whatever, I don't know all the technicals, but you have tip, ring, sleeve, I think is what it is. So on some of them, they don't have that second ring, and that doesn't make them TRS. And TRS is, I don't know, again, one of those things, but it's supposed to help reduce kind of audio hum. Problem is, well, first of all, I forget how I did it, because there's RCA outs in these speakers, and then they go into like the 1/4-inch plugs into the back of the Rodecaster Pro. From what I could see online, there are no TRS RCA to 1/4-inch cables. So I think what I did was I bought some TRS adapters with RCA cables, and that didn't fix the problem. So then, then I started reading a little bit more, and then there was this thing called X-Hum. It's like this little plug adapter that you're supposed to be able to plug certain electronics into, like one of these per whatever piece of audio equipment you're having that's causing issues. You plug it into that. You plug it directly into an outlet if you can. Thought that would work. I plugged it in with the speakers, because these speakers are powered by power adapter or whatever. Used it with the speaker plug, and also used it with the audio interface. And in both cases, it didn't resolve the issue. So I don't know exactly what's happening, but let me just play for you what it sounds like. So this is, and I'll have to turn this up a little bit. Let's see. You hear that? So that, play. Off, on, off, on. And just so you can kind of see what I'm seeing here. So this is just from Premiere, but that sound is the sound that you hear when the speakers are turned up, the knob on the speaker, the volume knob on the speaker is turned all the way up. That's what you hear coming out of these speakers. Now, of course, I'm not going to have the speakers turned up that loud all the time. So what I typically do is I turn it down to about 1/3 of the way up on the speakers, and then I can adjust the volume on the audio interface here. And on the Rodecaster Pro, it still gives me enough volume for what I need. But I can't really turn the speakers down so low to where I can't hear them. In other words, to where I can't hear that hum. So in other words, I can turn them super, super low. And just sort of, if I'm sitting here doing nothing and if it's quiet around me, I can still hear it, and it drives me insane. Now, I know there's a lot of electrical stuff going on around this, and I can't help but imagine that something going on here is affecting the speakers and is causing that audio interference. But I can't narrow down what it is, and I'm also a little bit constrained as far as space goes. So I don't, even if I could figure out what it is, I don't know how I would move my speakers around to get them away from whatever is causing that interference. But let me come over here. I'll show you what that looked like. So what I did was I recorded that sound and I brought it into Adobe Audition, and you can, if you drag up from the bottom, when you drag something, a waveform into Adobe Audition, you can see I think it's like spectral frequencies of it, whatever. And what I learned is, we'll go back here again, is that when you look, and I'm just kind of filming the screen, so pardon the shakiness, but when you look at the spectral frequency breakdown of everything, you can see that, for example, this is 3,000 hertz. This is 35 hertz, 4,000, 4,500, 5,000, 5,500. And essentially, I mean, it's stronger on some frequencies than others, but basically every 500 hertz, you're getting this sort of feedback. And that's the feedback that's driving me nuts, and that's what I keep hearing, and that's what I want to get rid of. But I don't know what's causing all that. So what I'm really trying to figure out, and if anyone out there knows what's causing this electric feedback, if that's exactly what it is, how do I remove it, and why, just so I know, why is it creating those, every 500 hertz frequencies? It's just strange. And then it just makes this really, with all those combined, it just makes this really annoying sound out of these speakers at all times. So, yeah, so it drives me nuts, needless to say. But I've just been kind of putting up with it. So if there are any audio files out there, I would love to know if you have any tips for me to be able to get rid of that. But that's been my week. Oh, also, while you're here, might as well just pull this up. I made this thing that I thought was kind of cool. Where did it go? So this was, I just had this idea to basically send the drone up into the air and shine it, point it straight down, and then record myself in my backyard just doing a stupid dance in different parts of the yard, and then just use masks to mask everything together so that it looked like a bunch of me's in the backyard. It ended up being kind of challenging. I'll just play it here. Where'd it go? It ended up being kind of challenging in that the drone shifts when start over. The drone kind of rotated a little bit while I was filming it, so I had to use Adobe Audition and do a to track the motion or to stabilize it so that it wouldn't rotate in frame. Then I had to zoom in a little bit, and then I was able to do the masking. But it was just kind of a fun little thing. I like to be able to do those little fun projects when they kind of come to mind, when the idea hits. But that was my week. So with that said, I think today got some errands to run. I got a project to work on tonight, another podcast project, not this one. And then we're back to another week of fun. So I appreciate you watching. If you're still here with me, I would love it if you would. There we go. I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button, and also follow me on social media at Ryan Hafey on Instagram and Twitter. And let's have a conversation once we wrap up here. But that'll do it for me this week. Thank you so much for watching. Keep on creating, making, and doing, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.